What if I told you that one of history's most dramatic revolutions started with a simple request, the right to begin a petition with, "In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit"? The response to those words would help tear apart France's wealthiest colony.
That's such a powerful example of how seemingly small things can trigger massive historical changes.
And what makes this story particularly fascinating is that we have a first-hand account from Lieutenant General Baron Pamphyle de Lacroix, who was right there watching this powder keg explode.
Hmm. So, what exactly made Saint-Domingue such a powder keg in the first place?
Well, you had this incredibly wealthy colony where plantation owners were so rich, they basically lived like French nobility. The numbers are staggering. Free people of color alone owned a third of all the land and a quarter of the slaves.
That economic reality must have created some serious social tensions.
Exactly. You had these poor white Europeans, the petits blancs, trying to assert authority over wealthy free people of color, simply because of skin color. And then the French Revolution drops its ideas of liberty and equality into this mix,
You know what's fascinating? The colonial government actually saw this coming and tried to build alliances with free people of color early on.
right? And those free people of color even sent representatives to France, who pledged 6 million francs to help pay off the national debt. That's an enormous sum for that time.
So, what went wrong? Why didn't that alliance work?
Well, the response from Paris was complicated. The National Assembly tried to have it both ways, claiming the colonies were part of France, while simultaneously saying French rights didn't apply there. Meanwhile, the British were doing something similar.
Oh, really? How so?
Get this. While making public statements about humanitarian concerns, British ships transported 38,000 enslaved people in 1789 alone, compared to 20,000 on French ships. They were dominating the trade while pretending to worry about its morality.
That level of hypocrisy is just staggering.
And it gets worse. When Count Charles de Lameth, a major plantation owner, spoke in favor of equal rights for free people of color, the colonial response was to label anyone supporting such rights as an aristocrat, which was basically a death sentence during the French Revolution.
The way these contradictions played out is just incredible.
And here's where it turned truly violent. Remember that petition I mentioned? A free man of color named Lacombe was hanged just for writing it. Then, when a respected white magistrate, Ferrand de Baudière, helped write another moderate petition, he was publicly executed and his head paraded around on a pike.
That escalation from political debate to public violence is chilling.
What's particularly interesting from a military perspective is how the political tension led to this kind of military mania in the colony. Everyone wanted to join the National Guard, compete for ranks, wear uniforms.
And I imagine that militarization had serious consequences when everything finally boiled over.
Absolutely right. Some of the same people who helped search for supposed black rebels in the hills actually became leaders in the real rebellion later on. It's a perfect example of how attempts to maintain control actually provided tools for revolution.
Looking at the broader picture, it seems like every attempt at moderate reform just made things worse.
That's exactly what Lacroix concluded. He suggested that if France had handled this situation differently 15 years earlier, they might have kept their most valuable colony. Instead, their half measures led to total revolution.
The parallels to modern social movements are pretty striking.
And that's really the key lesson here. When societies refuse to address fundamental injustices, the pressure builds until something has to give. The plantation owners who wouldn't even let free people of color vote ended up losing everything.
That's such a powerful reminder about the cost of maintaining unjust systems.
And on that note, we'll wrap up today's review of Lieutenant General Baron Pamphile de Lacroix's book, Memories to Serve as the History of the Revolution of Santo-Domingo, Chapter 1. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into a crucial moment that shaped our world. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.